Kita masuk ke pertemuan kedua dari Deep Learning Course. Ingat buku kita di D2L ya. Saya skip yang preliminaries algebra dan lain-lain. Hari ini kita akan masuk ke neural network dan multilayer perceptron sampai ke bab 5. Untuk materinya saya kasih jadi tugas baca. Kita akan pakai materi yang kita punya di dalam grup Applied Deep Learning. Ini materi standar di UI ya, yang sudah kita deliver bertahun-tahun, sudah proven untuk mendidik kalian bisa deep learning. Oke? Kita masuk ke materi yang minggu kedua. Saya akan start dari refreshing minggu pertama. Machine learning problem untuk supervised learning. Saya punya pasangan dataset X dan label Y. Kalau label Y-nya categorical, kita sebut classification. Kalau label Y-nya continuous value, kita sebut regression. Oke? Kita bilang ada pola dalam data yang memetakan X ke Y. Pola itu kita sebut unknown target function F. Nggak ada yang tahu F, nggak ada yang bakal tahu. Kalau ada yang tahu, kita nggak butuh machine learning. Kita stop discussion of machine learning kalau ada yang tahu F. Masalahnya F nggak ada yang tahu. Kita pakai hipotesis set neural network. Apa itu neural network? Nanti saya akan jelasin. Selain neural network, ada hipotesis set lain kayak linear model, SVM, SVD, dan lain-lain. Kita akan fokus belajar deep learning pakai neural network hypothesis. Oke? Model yang disebut deep learning adalah subset dari machine learning, basisnya neural network. Tugasnya adalah membuat satu hypothetical function. Anggaplah yang finalnya namanya G. Di diagram ini G kita harapkan paling mendekati F. Walaupun G tidak akan sama dengan F dan tidak akan pernah sama sama F. Kalau G sama dengan F bisa jadi overfitting. Overfitting itu musuhnya AI engineer. Kita nggak mau overfitting. Bahwa modelnya terlalu banyak parameternya, dia memorize data. Oke, so kita pengen cari fungsi G dan kita dekatin dengan neural network. Setelah di-train, neural network akan berbentuk seperti matriks atau tensor. Kalau saya kasih data baru, misalnya image, dia akan compute W atau parameter weight dikali X ditambah bias function, dia keluarin class score. Tentu saja supaya jadi class score ini jadi probability, pasti ada fungsi softmax yang dipakai. Makanya di sini kalau kalian belajar, kalian akan diajarin apa itu softmax function ya di dalam neural network classification. Nanti kalian bisa lihat softmax regression ya, dia merubah hasil output neural network menjadi continuous value kalau dia softmax regression. Kalau classification, dia akan ubah jadi categorical. Oke, saya harap kalian baca matematiknya karena kalian S2. Kalau nulis paper nanti kalian butuh all of this mathematics. Oke, cuma karena waktu kita sangat terbatas, saya pengen skip penjelasan ini supaya kalian baca ya. Nanti 30 menit dibantu oleh Mas Jesse. Untuk praktikumnya pakai ChatGPT dan pakai uh, Colab ya, untuk generate Python code-nya ChatGPT, implement di Colab. Oke, saya pengen summarize sampai ke bab 5 dengan tools ini. Oke, neural network itu ceritanya panjang, ya. Start dari neural science. Intinya orang neural science bilang, di dalam otak kita itu tidak lain adalah neuron yang paling kecilnya dihubungkan oleh sinaps. Nilai sinaps kita ini berubah tergantung jumlah neuron, tergantung pengalaman kita, ya. Dan di model secara matematik, pengetahuan neural scientist ini menjadi seperti ini. Bahwa kalau saya punya data, maka data kita itu akan melatih synapse, di sini weight parameter, sehingga kita bisa bedakan objek untuk classification. Ini contoh, saya kasih data dua dimensi, ada dua label. Labelnya kuning dan biru. Ada 100 data. Ini tes datanya, ada training datanya. Oke? Kalian bisa atur berapa banyak jadi tes data dan training data. Oke? Kalian bisa kasih more noise. Dan data ini ada 100 dimasukkan ke dalam neural network secara batch. Kenapa batch? Itu juga ada ceritanya. Itu tergantung dari optimization algorithm yang disebut gradient descent. Kalau saya masukin seluruhnya, dia takut terjebak di lokal minima. Ya, nanti kita akan bahas gradient descent dalam ini. Karena dia takut terjebak dalam lokal minima, dia masukin datanya per batch. Supaya waktu dia menghitung total minimum value dari error, itu dia tidak terjebak di lokal minima. Oke, lanjut. Nanti detailnya ada di buku ya, apa yang saya ceritakan ini, bahwa ada gradient descent jadi stochastic gradient descent, supaya dia tidak terjebak dalam lokal minima. Terus ada yang disebut back propagation algorithm untuk mencari total error minimum. Ya, so yang disebut loss atau error adalah perbedaan hasil prediksi neural network yang keluar di neuron terakhir atau output layer dengan true label. Oke, kita sebut loss. Ada training loss during the training, kalau pakai data training, ada testing loss during the testing, kalau pakai data testing. Yang kita harapkan, testing loss dan training loss tidak jauh berbeda, ya. Dan saya kasih data yang paling simpel dulu, hanya seperti ini. Kita coba dua dimensi hanya dengan satu neuron. Apa yang terjadi? Activation function adalah activation yang terjadi di dalam neuron dari inputnya. Dulunya kita pakai Tanha dan sigmoid, sekarang kita pakai ReLU. Jadi sebaiknya pakai ReLU untuk activation ya. Oke, penjelasannya juga ada di buku. Sebaiknya kalian baca bukunya dengan baik, karena yang saya ceritakan saat ini adalah summary-nya ya. Ada cerita kenapa dulu linear, terus jadi sigmoid, terus jadi Tanha, terus jadi ReLU. Oke, ceritanya itu datang dari optimization. Kalau saya pakai linear, ternyata optimization-nya nggak bagus waktu jalanin gradient descent. Kalau saya pakai sigmoid, bisa bekerja dengan baik, tapi cepat saturasi. Begitupun dengan Tanha. Ternyata kalau hanya dengan simple ReLU activation di dalamnya, kalian bisa lihat ReLU, Tanha, sigmoid, activation itu fungsinya kayak gimana. Jadi fungsi activation itu simple banget. Kalau sigmoid kayak huruf S, Tanha juga kayak huruf S, tapi lihat komputasinya pakai eksponensial, ini cepat saturasi. ReLU itu cuma datar, miring. Liqui-ReLU miring, miring, ya. Jadi pilihan yang bagus saat ini itu adalah ReLU dan Liqui-ReLU. Sayangnya di situ tools tadi tidak ada Liqui-ReLU. Oke, so activation function itu bergerak dari step function waktu zaman awal multilayer perceptron, diganti ke sigmoid, ternyata satu rating, diganti ke ReLU. Sekarang kita lebih banyak pakai ReLU. Oke, so regularization saya pakai L1 regularization. Saya coba lihat regularization ini how to train neural network supaya lebih smooth, supaya tidak explode para nilai parameternya atau menjadi terlalu kecil atau terlalu besar. Oke. Apalagi learning rate ini standar dari optimization gradient descent, misalnya kita pakai Adam optimizer atau optimizer lainnya. Dan apa itu epoch? Epoch adalah di saat semua batch data sudah pernah masuk ke neural network melalui forward propagation, dia ke ujung dan balik lagi. Ingat, ada backward propagation untuk back propagation. Oke? Kalau udah semua data, semua batch masuk, kita hitung satu epoch. Coba kita jalanin. Ternyata satu neuron merepresent satu garis di dalam dua dimensi. Ini tentu saja simplified case. Oke? Kalau saya ubah datanya seperti ini, konfigurasi ini doesn't work. Nggak akan bisa convergence trainingnya. Convergence terjadi di saat loss testing dan loss training, nilainya rendah dan berdekatan. Kalau berjauhan kayak gini, artinya apa? Artinya waktu di training bagus, waktu di tes jelek banget itu akurasinya. Oke? Artinya modelnya doesn't generalize well. Tujuan kita jadi AI engineer membuat model yang generalize well, baik untuk data training maupun data testing. Oke? Kalian train sampai kapanpun tidak akan converge ini. What about saya kasih 8 neuron, saya kasih 2 layer dengan masing-masing layer 8 neuron. Saya kasih 4 layer, masing-masing 8 neuron. Logika kita, kalau satu neuron merepresent satu garis, oke, maka 4 kali 8, 32 neuron merepresent poligon. Ya mungkin dia bisa merepresent lingkaran. Agak. Oke, lihat testing loss, berhasil dia train. Oke, dengan pola arsitektur yang sama, saya ganti pola datanya. Ini bukan bikin lingkaran, tapi ini bikin cross. Ya, masih mampu kah dia? Masih mampu dia. Kalau saya ganti lagi ke sini, spiral, masih mampu kah dia? Mungkin mampu, tapi mungkin saya butuh tambahin capacity supaya dia lebih baik. Oke? So, apa yang kalian pelajari dari demo ini? Bahwa capacity dari neural network, berapa jumlah neuronnya sangat berpengaruh. Ya, terhadap kemampuan dia membedakan pola. Klasifikasi in this case, kalian bisa belajar yang regression. Bedanya adalah kalau klasifikasi nilai labelnya categorical, regression nilai labelnya continuous value. Oke. So menarik, banyak hal yang kalian bisa summarize di sini. Kalau kalian udah baca buku kita, D2L, lihat step by step tutorialnya, ada code-nya di sini, kalian bisa implement untuk regresi dulu ya. Ada code-nya copy paste ke Google Colab, kalian baca pelan-pelan supaya fun, pergi ke cafe yang ada free wifi, copy pelan-pelan ya. Oke, sabar dalam belajar, jangan pengen cepet-cepet uh, selesai tapi belum ngerti, ya nggak ada gunanya. Pelan-pelan aja, saya rasa sampai ke bab 5 kalian bisa mempelajarinya dengan baik. Oke, dari buku ini. Buku ini udah clear. Saya pengen kasih intuisinya supaya waktu kalian baca buku, aha momen kalian terbuka. Ya, oh ini yang tadi Pak Risman bilang, ini yang ini gitu ya. So,
Maaf Bapak,
ya,
sepertinya ada yang tidak bisa bahasa Indonesia, Pak.
okay. So you should tell me. Okay, Ramzan.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Let's continue.
Okay, sir.
Until chapter 5, whatever you learn in chapter 5, summarize well in these tools. Okay? So you will learn first how to set up the neural network, how it works, yeah, for classification and regression. And you will learn that capacity of the neural net will define by the number of neuron. The other things that you will learn is the input features. Okay? Some smart mathematician will say, okay, I don't need all of this hidden layer. Okay? I will design my network just one layer and one neuron for this pattern. But What about I change the feature space? What about if I change the feature space? I input this one, the quadratic features, the multiplication features, the sinusoidal or geometric features. That means I don't work in Cartesian coordinates, but I work in very high complex dimension of quadratic, multiplication, and geometric space. I can bet this model can easily find only one neuron. Okay, what about this? What about this? The spiral, of course, it will face problems. Why? Because the space that created by these combined features cannot accommodate the pattern, spiral pattern. But it can easily accommodate this pattern, So what I just show you is I'm doing features engineering so I can minimize capacity of the neuron to separate patterns inside the data for classification. Okay? So in mathematics, when you learn about functional space, sometimes we are only educated in Cartesian space, we miss the other space. But in mathematics, there are hundreds of space. If you heard about norm space, yeah, Hilbert space, normalized Hilbert space, okay, Cartesian or space, yeah, so many space. The problem with features engineering is we need high-skill mathematician. But what about we can reuse architecture? We forget this. We just focus on the architecture. Some guy already make this architecture for the spiral, and then it works with good accuracy, and then let's reuse, yeah? Until now, our AI is like that. Reuse the architecture, okay? So there's thousands of AI model available. The architecture is predefined, pre-trained, you can find in Hugging Face. Okay? This one. You can name it. You can see all of this model. It's already pre-trained, you can reuse in Hugging Face. And if you want to find papers of what people do in AI, then go to Papers with Code. For each computer vision natural language, you can find thousands of papers every week. This is highly dynamic, rapid progress field. In computer science, you can do with AI classification, localization, object detection, and segmentation. Okay? And all of people make a lot of architecture. You can start to reproduce architecture and modify. It's very hard for you to build model from scratch because it needs you to pay a lot of GPU, okay, which you don't have money to do that. So people are mostly reproducing proven model that is listed in Hugging Face. I hope you spend time learning about Hugging Face, okay? And prepare your data to be trained using the neural network, okay? For today, we just focus on basic neural network called multi-layer perceptron. So what is multi-layer perceptron? The keyword perceptron coming from old days that when we use the linear activation step function, we call it perceptron. But now people don't use that, so we use ReLU or leaky ReLU. By the way, this is not TensorFlow Playground, this is Deeper Playground, so I will send to you. Deeper Playground support the leaky ReLU. Okay? So all of this thing, the method of regularization, dropout, momentum, learning rate, automatic learning rate, you will learn in this chapter. First, you need to implement how many neurons you want to implement, yeah? And then you have to understand forward and backward propagation and very famous backpropagation algorithm. Okay, I will not cover the mathematics, it's already covered in the book. But let me tell you the story about backpropagation. Long time back, it's very hard to compute loss, total loss, the rate or the differential of total loss compared to the small change of the weight parameters. We need that because we want to minimize or perform optimization for total loss. It's very hard to compute a gradient of total loss compared to weight parameters. That problem makes neural network stagnant over the last 20 years since 1990. Until 1992, one brilliant engineer, he is the CTO of Google before, yeah, Professor Geoff Hinton, say that, hey, I found dynamic programming pattern inside computing the total loss, the gradient of total loss compared to weight parameters. He showed this kind of partial differential equation, and he showed there is a pattern that we don't have to compute all partial differential equation, but you have to compute just when we forward into the network, when we move forward into the network, we also move backward to compute signal, okay? And from those signal, we can get the gradient of total loss compared to weights. And that famous algorithm is called backpropagation, okay? When you work with PyTorch or Python, you don't implement this because the function is already there. You just use it, yeah? But for sake of fundamental mathematics, I hope you learn about this, okay? And later you also learn how it perform gradient descent and stochastic gradient descent, yeah, inside the algorithm, okay? And dropout techniques and some example here. Please spend time into up to chapter 5 because we will skip this as your homework. We don't have time for that. So now I will let you implement some example using, let's say we use drag and drop tools, very famous tools, Orange data mining tools. Okay, I drag, let's say there is a data here is Titanic dataset from Titanic passenger who are died, survive and not survive based on feature status, age, and sex. Okay, you can see the feature statistic before. Okay, but here we want to perform classification using neural network. Yeah. So I will use neural net. Is there any neural network here? Wait. Neural network. Okay. So I will perform neural network. I will say how many. I will use ReLU, hidden layer, neuron in hidden layer. Let's say 100. This is only single layer, but you can put more layer just for simplicity. Just take this parameter. Okay. And then I will check the accuracy. I drag test and score. Okay. Of course, I need to give the data to test and score, and I see the prediction. And from this prediction, I will see the confusion matrix like F1 and etc. Okay. This is the accuracy. This is the prediction result. And this is the confusion matrix. Wait a minute. Can I put the confusion matrix? Yep, this one. So you can easily implement here, but you can also implement using ChatGPT. So let's say we have a synthetic data set here. So I will say to ChatGPT, make synthetic data set for binary classification in 2 dimension. Okay. Write Python code. Let's use PyTorch because PyTorch is a common library for neural network and deep learning. So write PyTorch codes to implement multi-layer perceptron with how many layers we used before? 5. How many? Okay. Let's say with 5 hidden layers, each with 8 neurons. Okay. ReLU activation. What else we configure here? ReLU activation, learning rate 0.03, L2 regularization. Give report of its performance. So as you can see, for simple neural network using multi-layer perceptron, ChatGPT can easily give you the code. Okay, so let's try the code. It's a good time for you to learn AI because AI can generate simple neural network architecture. Of course, for language model or convolution neural network that is more complex, it cannot because the data is very less. But you can, here you can use GPU, okay, and connect. You can say it here in the code, revise the code to use T4 GPU from Colab. And it will give you again the code, okay? Okay. So let's see the code, the generated code. So what it did. Okay, this is the code, it generate sample code. So just try, generate random sample and visualize the data, synthetic data set. And this is the data for test and lab. Okay, this is the data, 2 dimension, binary, means that 2 level. And then let's look on the code for this one. You can see the epoch. You can change the epoch if you want to need epoch, but it gives you the total loss like this with accuracy 0.5. You can improve, you can tweak this code, yeah? So don't worry about the code. Worry much about your understanding, because if you don't understand up to chapter 5, then you cannot prompt well, okay? So that is from me. I give you homework to read books, online books, D2L.ai up to chapter 5. Spend more time reading because you know that coding is trivial, or Python code you can ask ChatGPT. Okay? Don't worry too much on the code because Python's code can easily generated by ChatGPT during this course. But worry much on your understanding on the mathematics and the basic of the neural network, which is the concept of optimization, like gradient descent, stochastic gradient descent. Why we call it stochastic? Because we want to escape from the local minima during the optimization. So we put data in batch, in mini batch, instead of whole data putting into the network. And there is a lot of optimization algorithm available in PyTorch. You have to see. So all of those story is summarized in this material. Yeah. So I hope you spend time. I only have 1 hour with you every week. So apologize for that. But I hope you can learn as much as you can from me. Yeah. So all of this material is already summarizing the capability in the framework and also the basic multi-layer perceptron and books here. So books and this slide is your homework. Okay, I left you here. Any question before I give to JC for demo of code? Okay. If no question, then I let JC. JC, can you speak English?
Uh, I tried. I
Ah,
tried.
good. Because there is one participant here cannot speak Bahasa Indonesia. So please try as much as you can. Explain from deeper TensorFlow background and how they can implement in Python using PyTorch. Okay, so I stop here. Please continue with JC for the next 30 minutes.
I'll try sharing my screen first. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Basically, we're going to do the same as uh, Sarisman has taught us before. We will try to implement the this playground and collab. Here we can just click and plus and minus to adjust the hidden layers and neurons. But we will try to implement it in Google Colab with the help of ChatGPT. Uh, Basically, we will have the same code with some varieties. Uh, First, we will make a synthetic dataset. Make a 2D synthetic dataset for classification and write PyTorch code to implement a neural network classification with with we are using ReLU activation first we try to with one hidden layer first. One hidden layer and 2 neurons per layer. In Google Colab, so they have some context. Let's see. Yes, codes. Okay. In here, they are using Torch. They're creating the sample data set, synthetic 2D data set. They are splitting the data set into training and test, so they are not interchangeable between another and it's different. Okay, we are copying the code. Let's try the code. Let's run it. Let's see. They are connecting the Google Colab first. And copy code for the second one. Getting tensor. And they are defining the neural network for the class of neural network with an n module. Let's see. Here's the previous the 2D data set, the red one and the blue one. Let's see the code. Oh, I hope everyone can follow with me together so we can learn together. Everyone can open their own Google Colab and start uh, prompting with me in in ChatGPT. I will give you the prompts I'm using on the chat. One sec. Uh, Here's the first prompt. Okay. If it's done, we can check the training after that. Initiate the initiation of model or neural network class. Then we have epoch of 1000. Oh, and the test accuracy we get 100%. Uh, let's see let's see the actual result plot. We can ask ChatGPT. Uh, show the plot of the result. Let's see if right. Let's copy this code. They're using Matplotlib. We are copying the code. Okay, this is the line boundary that made with our model. It is perfectly split the dataset into each class. Let's see. Let's ask ChatGPT to create a more complex dataset. We can just okay. This is the prompt. Let's try to create a new dataset that's more complex. Copy this code. They're making a new dataset. Let's see how that dataset looks. Nah, this kind of have uh, some kind of intersections in the life right here. Let's see as a GPT. Copy this from first as a GPT. Do the same learning methods for this new data set. All right. Here we are using 1000 epochs. And we plot the decision boundary again. Let's see copy code. Let's run it. Will this enough? They're calculating the epochs. Like, long. Maybe good idea to print each epochs. Nah, in here we have accuracy of 91%, and the lens is kind of weird and have some what do you call it? Some externals, outsiders, which not belongs there, and uh, it's not that good. Probably we can try making the hidden layers or neurons higher. Let's like make oh yeah, we can oh yeah. Let me copy this first. Make the what hidden layers to let's say 4 with uh 8 neurons on each layers on each layer. Let's see if it's going to be better or will not. We will see. Let's copy the code. Copy and probably for our so we can see it better. We can print the number of epochs we are currently on. It's a simple Python code mungkin maybe epoch per x1 per 1000. Let's run the code. Maybe longer and it took longer for 1000. Yes. Someone's asking. No. All right. Mhm. Is someone late in this? Maybe I need to repeat. Just ask, open your mic and ask. All right. This is the whoa. This is actually worse than before. So more hidden layers doesn't mean exactly mean always better. Also, it will take more time for this kind of uh, data set. So maybe for this specific data set, those configurations with five, what do you use? I forgot. Let me check. We are using, oh, we are using one, oh, 4 layers. Maybe it's not the perfect configurations. So we'll just need to find the right or more precise amount of layers and amount of neurons on each layers to make the result better. Maybe we can try. Let's do it. data set that is circular, maybe like this one. Let's ask ChatGPT. Use a data set that's circular. Right. They're using make circles. I see. Okay. Let's see. Let's try this code. Okay. Let's run this code. Right. Oh yeah. Let me copy this prompt first. This and this. Then use the same learning methods with for hidden layers and each 8 neurons on each layer on the circular dataset. See how they do it. They're using same. All right, let's copy code. Let's see. If this is better with this kind of data set. Let me copy this first so we can know our progress on this. Alright. Right, this is the prompt. Notably, using higher hidden layers and neurons will take more computing power. So you just have to find the right combination of using the amount of power and the result you are getting. Let's see here. Might take a while. And oh, this one is absolutely better than the previous one. And here we can see the model can differentiate between the other class and the red class. So for this specific model, maybe uh, this amount of hidden layers and neurons is the perfect one. And for this one, maybe there are some uh, configurations of the amount of hidden layers and neurons that will match the shape better and give a better result and accuracy. So you have to just to try and uh, find the best result for this kind of data set, and you just have to find the uh, best data set, find the best not the best data set, find the best configuration for each data set you are gonna use. Okay, uh, maybe for fun, we will try if we are using the dataset like this one, the what do you call it? Chess, maybe. We will try. Hope I hope that ChatGPT can understand. Uh, what do you call? Make a dataset that looks like a chessboard, and do the same. Do the same. You can also implement this this implementation of this playground on Orange data mining. You can try the same as Sarisman has already told you. We will try on this. There are no, oh, they are not. Oh, they are showing like this. I think it's kind of hard to, it will be hard to classify those data set. But we'll try, we'll try. See. Oh, this is not the. Let me copy this. Right. This one's much faster because I think there are smaller amounts of data. Right. It's bad. Okay. Maybe that's all for the practical session of this class. It will be all.
Thank you,
Thank
JC.
you, everyone.
Yep, very nice demo. So whatever you can learn from TensorFlow Playground, you can implement in Python using PyTorch, also using ChatGPT. Don't be intimidated by the code, but fight for your understanding in the book. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the time limitation, I cannot cover the book, but the slide and the book is enough for you as your homework. Okay. So next week, we will learn about convolution neural nets. So convolution neural nets is where the data is image. Okay. So how you can utilize neural network, especially with convolutional architecture for image data set. Okay. For this week, please make sure you are done up to chapter 5. Any question before I close? You have fun? Or too fast? Or too... Any feedback? Okay. So if you have more questions, you can ask question to the group. Teaching assistant will answer your question. And I hope you learn fast because we want to teach you up to natural language processing, which is in this book, is quite dense and quite a lot of topics. Yeah. So next week we will start on computer vision. And then after that, maybe 2 weeks in computer vision, we will go to recurrent neural nets. And we will teach you up to attention and transformer. and then you can learn from Hugging Face and a lot of fun stuff there regarding language model, large language model, and modern neural network. Okay, thank you very much. See you next week.